Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, no matter where you are around the world. My name is Karen Griffith. I'm an inner freedom and embodiment coach. I also cover all good things around wellness, happiness, and mental fitness. And I also bring in neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, just to help and assist the ladies that choose to work with me with difficult emotions, beliefs, stories, things like that could get in the way to getting them on the way of the things they want, need and desire. So without any further ado, I was meant to be on yesterday. Circumstances, however, decided to alter the path I wanted to take, and that's okay. I'm here now. As promised, I said I will talk about black cat energy, and it's really important that I mention it's not from a relationship point of view, although it does ring true that some of what I'm talking about will touch on the subject of relational experiences and what you desire, need and want. However, I'm taking it from a wellness point of view, the reason being that it centres on energy management. If you've been following me for a while, and I hope you have, or you're new to my channel or the information that I'm sharing with you today, energy management is basically filling your cup and also keeping it in a place where you're able to give to yourself first and then on to others, because you're giving from your overflow. However, if you're consistently participating in people, places and things that are draining you, your experience will be a lot different, and you'll also be choosing from a space of depletion. This is really important for, I believe, ladies to understand and master, because when you recognise there is so much more to you just because of who you are, and then an extension of that when you tap into creativity, your innate gifts, you can then see that you are able to create community-based things that have the power to really enhance and impact other people's lives in a positive manner, as opposed to what I believe we're seeing now, chaos and dysfunction, to the degree where it's clearly showing as symptoms. People are getting ill, mental health challenges, and we are in a situation, believe it or not, where it's not normal. So part of the reason why I focused on wellness, and it's important to me, happiness, is because it wasn't that long ago I was struggling with all these things, not having a roadmap, not really being clear on what I needed to do. That said, I got started, and as I developed myself, particularly self-development, personal development, and also getting support from others, professionals that knew more than me, because I was still learning and becoming a coach, training, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, also the various modalities, healing modalities, to enable me to share that with the people, and certainly ladies that I'm here to support, guide and challenge in their process. I realise that wellness being a cornerstone, the whole self, when you operate from a powerful place, you're no longer just surviving, because surviving tends to be up here, and also how we show up energetically. So let me move on. Black cat energy, what's that about? I thought it was important to share some characteristics of a black cat, and hopefully I'll reference somebody famous, she's no longer with us sadly, that you can then think, oh, hopefully the penny drop about some of the things that I'm sharing with you today. So when you think of the characteristics of black cats and what they symbolise, for example, is they symbolise luck, power, protection and wisdom. And they also show, when you observe a cat, they could be very sleek, sexy, confident. They know what they want and they go for it. They're self-assured. They also at times act unbothered. And they orbit their own world and they pull you into it rather than push you into it. So they draw you in, that energy thing. They're mysterious, they're also very deep, they can be loving, but they also can withdraw when they need to focus on themselves. And in that token, they're quite fierce and they can change at a drop of the hat, which also makes them very protective, and they provide for themselves. Very magnetic, very amazing to watch. So what I'm trying to give you a sense of is all these things that I shared, all these qualities are steps that you can learn, and you can do so in baby steps. And I'll give you some ideas of what you could try on in your experience. And I'll love it if you come back and share if anything that you've tried that I've suggested worked. Because I really want you to think about, okay, where I'm at now in terms of my wellness, my well-being, the whole self, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, and also where am I in terms of mastery in the financial. I forgot, as you know, I've added that in, but where I am in terms of my mastery of self in relation to those areas. And if I was to make one choice, make one change, what would that look like? So have that front of mind as I speak, and hopefully you'll get maybe some ideas that I've not necessarily shared or thought of, but is what is of interest and resonates for you. So again, with Black Cat energy, I'm trying to help women shift from survival mode into thriving mode. And just a recap of what survival mode looked like: fight, flight, freeze, fawn, as opposed to thriving, where you're fierce, confident and magnetic, and things are coming to you. You're pulling in what the resources you need. You're also getting the opportunities come to you instead of chasing. It's very much pull towards instead of pushing. So it's operating in a way where it's not just wisdom, it's rational thinking, critical thinking, and also engaging discernment. And what do you mean by that, Karen? When you operate from a place where it's just not, you're using both sides of the brain, you are giving yourself ample opportunity to create for yourself better control over things that you have got control over, rather than expend energy on things that you can't, and things outside of you. Mainly what I see, and I've been guilty of myself, is trying to control other people, trying to control circumstances that are so out of your control. When you master yourself and you really pay attention to those elements, those qualities that enable you to come from a place where you know who you are, you know where you are in your life, and you acknowledge the gap the gap between where you are, where you want to be, and what's available to you because you're choosing it. You'll start to align yourself with those things because you're making choices from an empowered place rather than a disempowered place. And when you observe the cat in isolation is a powerful animal because it's fearless, it strives. I'll give you an example. You notice black cats relax a lot. They are very calm, but they also know when to turn it up. So it's focusing on the right areas of your life. Again, why energy management is the focus, really, because you're paying attention and you're prioritizing what truly matters to you and the people that you care about. It's also observing and choosing, because as I mentioned, the black cat in its energetic, in its energy, is very much in control. It very much decides what it wants and what it doesn't want, and it will let you know in good time. So it also then pulls away from anywhere where it's not being supported, it's not getting what it needs. So it will find it from somewhere else, usually sourcing it from within. And it's also important to understand that it is okay to want what you want. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe what is less understood is, if that is okay, am I really choosing the people that are capable of providing that for me? So that's an interesting perspective. Am I continuing to invest in areas where it's clear my needs are not going to be met, and it doesn't make the other person or people wrong for it? It's just maybe taking ownership of where you are investing in the areas that are actually not reciprocal, not balanced. So it's choosing what is worthy of your time. So how does it work in a nutshell? Think of it in terms of chakras. I think I'm going to do a live on this at some point, so I explain it in completion. But I'm going to focus on 3 chakras. We've got 7 chakras that run along the body. They're like energetic centers, and it's kind of like, imagine them like your radio transmitter. So when you're balanced, fully balanced, and you're safe, secure, you're you know who you are, you know what you're here to do, and you're pursuing it, and you're not applying force in what it flows as it ease and flow. You know what the next steps are. You're not overly worried. You're not set in the past. You're not necessarily in the future. You're more in the here and now. When you're really tapped in, you can tap into the magnet, which is the heart. I can recommend heart coherence studies. I think it's called the heart math coherence studies. That's worth taking a look at. I've read some of the research. It's very fascinating stuff. But basically, the more attuned you can become to your heart, it's very magnetic. But to get to that place, it's understanding that it's not about force, it's about power. You attract, and that is being loving, kind, compassionate, empathetic, not sympathetic, because they have very different meanings. And you are pulling towards you the people, places, things that you want, what you need. You're doing it from an effortless place. It doesn't require any kind of manipulation, any type of controlling other people to get them to do what you want. It's more from a place of knowing the part of you that, again, tapping into another part of the chakra, the crown chakra at the top of the head, the part of you that knows and always knows and is in no doubt, and that's when you really hear the truth. And when you're connected with the heart, and it's connecting, because it's the mind-body connection, which is being explored in increasing relevance to the wellness of us in our human experience, our imperfect human experience, I might add. You realise that you operate from a place of wisdom and discernment and knowing when to do things and when not to do things, what's important, and to let go with ease instead of holding on what doesn't matter, what's not serving you. And then you've got the solar plexus, which resides below the heart, which is the power centre. If you remember Superman, he had that emblem that's on his chest, but it actually touches the heart and the sacral, his personal power centre, sovereign. So it's you that are in control. You understand that it is about your personal power, because you are a powerful human being when you tap into it and stop giving your power away to others and expect them to make the decisions that are really your responsibility to own and to embody, and then also to take responsibility for, maybe not necessarily in that order. So going back to Black Cat energy, confidence, fearless, magnetic. And you're probably saying, how do I get there, Karen? And it's a very good question, because I mentioned that it's a number of characteristics that come into it. And it's also understanding in your experience that, again, these are qualities that you can take in baby steps by starting to take risks. Because, believe it or not, we have a tendency to keep ourselves safe whenever we do something new. And I will invite you to reflect your experiences. We tend to have some doubts, which is normal because we haven't done it before. And there is a big part of us that are perfectionists, and also a part of us that's scared of failure, scared of making mistakes. And when you give yourself permission that it is okay to make mistakes and to learn to do them in baby steps, you can then empower yourself in quality of, saying, confidence, because confidence is really, doing something in a consistent way that lets you know, oh, you've mastered it, and then you do it without thinking. Like, for example, when you learn to walk. If you remember, you might not, I don't remember really when I first started walking, but what is known is you would have fallen over, you probably would hurt yourself, but it didn't stop you trying till eventually you were walking, and then from walking you started to run. And probably that's when your parents were like, they had to keep a close eye on you, because you just off you went, and you'd be fearless because you didn't really think about where you were going or what was going on around you. And that was down to your parents being responsible for you, for keeping you safe. So that's what I'm kind of alluding to. So if you take those baby steps, reflecting back on learning how to walk, you will understand it is safe. It's okay to fall over. It's okay to get back up again. Learn, relearn. So I thought it'd be also useful to give an explanation about confidence. Confidence is feeling or showing confidence in self or one's ability and qualities. So doesn't that line up with what I just said? I hope it did. Do comment if there's anything that's unclear. Hopefully I've tried to simplify, because it's kind of simple, but it isn't. If depending on where you're at in your experience, or where it is you're at with what it is you want, because obviously I haven't got that information at detail, but what I'm sharing from a general point of view is black cat energy. How about I share like somebody that I believe was the epitome of it. I think that's the right word. Sorry, I don't think that's the right word, but she certainly was magnetic, fearless and confident. That was Eartha Kitt. She was 40 years old when she was given the role of Catwoman in the Batman series. And back in those days, it was unheard of to have a black actress in such a key role. And the reason why it's a pivotal, she's a pivotal person to select, is if you watch, and I did watch quite a few of the scenes that she was in, she was the focus. She owned every scene. And that's what I mean by magnetic. You see how she commanded the room. Even Bruce, there was scenes, because there was definitely attraction there was no doubt about it. And you also would have seen, the tricky situation she got herself into, but also out of herself and sometimes others. And so she was calm, collected under pressure. Yes, it was fictitious. But that said, the quality she embodied in terms of black cat energy was magnetic without a doubt, fearless. And if you know her story, besides being an actress, there were other things that she advocated for, including apartheid. She was bold, which got her got her targeted by the CIA. She did put herself at great risk. She had support from LGBT communities. She also supported a dance school in New York because she believed in the freedom of dance. As you know, that's something I've explored as a piece for my self-expression, and being able to be creative in a different environment that doesn't require any resource, any fixed outcome, other than to have fun, to get it done. Something I sometimes mention from time to time. So I'm going to also add, sort of, again, referring to Eartha Kitt, so that you start to see for yourself, because femininity takes many forms and shows up in very different ways, and to maybe detached from the Instagrammable, YouTube, magazine created, this is what femininity look like, and embrace what that means to you in the essence of. So it's about who you can be, not who you should be, when you tap into your femininity. So I'm going to say it again. It's about who you can be, not who you should be, when you tap into your femininity, because that's giving you permission to show up in a way where you're still embracing your black cat energy. You're fearless, confident, empowered, unbothered, but also calm, cool and collected when it's required. You can embrace the aspects that resonate and work on the rest in small baby steps. So I thought I'd share because I think this is a powerful statement made by the late Eartha Kitt, because as you know, she's no longer sadly with us, but her legacy is still there for all to see and will remain so, there's no doubt about it, because she was a character in her own right. I fall in love with myself and I want someone to share me with me. I love that. Absolutely love that. So, again, for the energy management piece, I'm relying on my notes because there's so much I want to get out and express, because I think it'll be really powerful and useful if you watch this. And please don't forget to like, comment and share. It's free if you watch this, and I really appreciate it if you send me a note, especially if you act on anything I share and suggesting you get our results. It's really meaningful to me to keep on doing this work, to empower me to keep on. So I think what people don't realise, because it's invisible, is how much work it takes to maintain a life that you're actually dissatisfied with. Just sit with that for a moment, because you're possibly expending a lot of mental and emotional energy on things that actually, if you was to be even 1% fearless, you could make a baby choice to work on those things that you need to let go of. But I know I've been there, you know, I've held on to so many things, and how it manifested it for me, because it does tend to, in physical form, there is a correlation between clutter and mental health. Just see what's there for you, and if you realise that you do hoard things, which also might indicate lack mentality, there'll be other stuff as well that'll be in the mix, because there's nuances. But when you start to recognise that you're perhaps operating in ways of being that are not serving you, and you're not learning to be content in the here and now, because that's all there is the here and now, not the past. You can't do anything about it. Future, yes, it's great to future gaze, but not if it's causing you anxiety or stress. So it's important to be very clear, which is one of my cornerstones in coaching women that work with me for 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months or a year, that they start to get to unpack the chaos. So, or their personal chaos. So I just realised there was something I've forgotten to mention. Because again, energy management, so that you're becoming more powerful, mindful, more in the observe, operating with wisdom, rational thinking, critical thinking, discernment, you then decenter the chaos, whatever that looks like for you. I've got a few ideas of what that might look like. And when I talk to my clients, I do get a sense of that world, so I'm able to help them pinpoint what needs to change for them and what they want to experience differently. So you're honouring, you're centering your femininity, you're centering your intuition, you're centering more what is meaningful, so that you can then rebuild from a place where you're being who you can be rather than who you think should be, because who you think should be is just a product of conditioning, program and societal expectations, and you begin to realise you've been lined up to fail. So once you recognise and accept that, you could be fearless in being, okay, this is what I want, and I'm okay with anything else not being part of my experience because it's not relevant for me. It's not what I want, and it's certainly, I'm not going to have the projection or deflection or whatever you want to call it of what others think, because it doesn't matter what I think, what I'm feeling, what's important to me, what I want to create, what I'm here in terms of being a purposeful being is what's relevant, because I do want to be a better person as a result. So, black cat energy. So it's choosing to accept all experiences are relevant and bring about, sorry, I'm going to say that again, choosing to treasure all experiences and bring about an attitude of playness. So I would invite you to watch some Eartha Kitt videos when she was playing, because they're available on YouTube. When she was playing Catwoman, you'll see the embodiment of what I'm talking about, so you can use it as a guide and then perhaps reference somebody more suitable. Another person, Michelle Pfeiffer, that also played Black Cat, she also played Catwoman, and she did that to a T. And again, it's accessing the different attributes or qualities that resonate so that you can build on the ones that are not so comfortable, and you could do that in baby steps. And I suggest using the 1%, 15%, 15 minutes per day, Kaizen continuous improvement. So that means you do that every day. So 15 minutes, and that, that 15 minutes is, you can watch a video on Eartha Kitt, and then whatever resonated for you from that, I know what resonated for me that I'm already working on. You then sort of like, how can I do this in a safe space and explore what experience I get, what feedback I get, and then take it from there. I think you can see the excitement. So just find somebody that in your mind has that black cat energy that I'm talking about, and from a wellness point of view, understand it's the core, it's energy management here, what you're choosing to spend, time on, the discernment, what you're prioritising, what you're going to focus on. You will see, hopefully, that you'll get to a place of the attitude of gratitude, appreciation. You can notice the small beauty in things. It's like yesterday, I clean my flat very regularly. It's very important that I have a clean, clear space, and I do it often. I listen to music, but I actually listen to a different type of music, a music that was more for heart vibration. Bach, his concerto, I may mispronounce it, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody that's watching this on the replay, but it's something I decided to listen to more. And also when I have my evening rituals, I listen to that as a means of relaxing myself for bedtime. And it's beautiful music, absolutely beautiful music, which I wish I could play. It might happen. I might decide to invest my time in learning how to play the piano. But what I'm sharing is I'm seeing peace in my experience. I'm very present. I'm doing a task which may seem mundane, but I've injected into it a certain beauty, a certain quality that within no time I'm able to get my home cleared. And I was also able to do it in appreciation because I did it to a beautiful piece of music. I got my home clean how I wanted it, and that then stepped into buying myself, treat myself to some flowers. It doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, but I was able to drop it into my space and appreciate it as a gesture of rewarding myself for the work I did in cleaning my space. So again, another idea to try on is how can you inject more laughter into your day. The reason being that laughter triggers endorphins, which is a natural thing. Serotonin, which gives a sense of wellness. Because I've not mentioned it in a while, you've got endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, and you've got dopamine. Dopamine is reward, endorphins through exercise. It's also got a painkilling effect. Oxytocin, it's like love, like hugging, conversing with another human being in person, or pets, stroking a pet. Serotonin, very important. It lifts the mood. Just so that you know, I've stayed up and I invested in SAD, a seasonal affective disorder tool, because I do struggle when the season change, and I decided it's been something I've been thinking about for a few years, and I took the plunge. I did my research and I found a SAD. But if it's not possible for you to invest in it all, I would suggest finding ways to have laughter, maybe be in commune with others, send each other jokes, things like that. The reason being because it enhances, it has such an impact on your wellness. And this time of year, less light, you're operating mostly in darkness, you wake up in dark, you're going to bed in dark. It does have an impact on your mood. And if you're not counterbalancing, I've said this in a few lives, always seek to counterbalance. It could be possible that your moods are being affected by the season, and what's also important is what you eat, going out for walks in nature, very good for endorphins, for exercise if you could get to the 10k. And if you can process your moods so that they are more better suited. So when you notice that if you're struggling, you will take the appropriate action rather than operate in crisis, because it's then when things like wisdom, rational thinking, critical thinking, accessing wisdom, discernment goes out the window, and you operate from amygdala, which is fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and your outcomes look a lot different. And trust me, when you're operating from that place, it impacts others, and it impacts them in a way which is less than favourable and more important, and also yourself. So recognising that and doing something about it, which is why I'm bringing it on to relaxation. And habits like movement, like I've mentioned earlier, I dance a lot. There's a reason it brings me so much joy, whacking, ballet, jazz dance. Sometimes I record, I've got another video, I'm going to upload it when I have time. But I got to the stage where it's nothing to do with being validated, it's to do with expressing myself, finding outlets to process some of the difficult emotions that I experience from time to time, particularly when I'm triggered, and give them an outlet to create from that place, called alchemy, to convert. So relaxation, just think about the habits that can support you, so that when life is challenging, and it's going to happen, it's unavoidable, you can start to approach it from a place where you can release some of the charges that you experience, and then you can put it into a place where, even if it means you need to take time out from the situation, you can operate in a place that makes better sense and not impacting or hurt yourself or others. So, I mentioned relaxation. Another piece which also improves magnetism is really care about what you're thinking and noticing what you're thinking. Because basically your life will move in the direction of your most dominant thought. And if you're not aware of what your dominant thoughts are, I've mentioned, and I can't say it enough, it is time to journal. And maybe what might be helpful is if you could spend a period of time where you go into observer mode, which means taking a step back and see the ways you show up and start to recognise the patterns. Because from a powerful place you might notice, oh, actually I'm getting angry and these are the sets of circumstances which I get angry under, or I'm really frustrated and the source of my frustration is whatever that is for you. Because then you can start to make a choice to release what the negative charges are. And I'm not saying to force positivity, although it is helpful and it is important to get in a state where you're training yourself into positive thoughts, but you're not going to get there straight away. It's more meaningful and helpful if you start to recognise and understand under which circumstances you're experiencing these thoughts, because then you can start to interrupt them and choose differently. So really ask yourself what judgments are coming up for you when you're seeking rest. Because I know for me, I always thought I had to be on the go, and I actually found it difficult to sit still, which is why it took me several years to get into yoga, and now I love it. I practice, even if it's for 5 minutes, I practice daily. I create space for that to happen, and that also meant I had to sacrifice other things, let that go. And I'm pleased about that because they weren't really important anyway. But I learned and I deepened my practice with other modalities around breath work, yoga nidra and stuff, where I really lean into the practice of relaxation so that I can then be more attuned to my body and really pick up on, the tension that I was creating in my body and where it was storing, and also align it perhaps, with emotions and memories, because the body keeps the score. So I was able to release them because they were ready to be healed, because I acknowledge in my process, the more work I do on myself and the more I experience, more I figure out what I want, what I don't want, lean into what I do want more than what I don't want. And this circles back to life moves in the direction of your dominant thoughts. So if you're not doing that work, I suggest you start right now. Journaling is a good place to start, or data dump. I was then training myself into positive thoughts, but it wasn't toxic positivity. I accepted when I had challenging moments, but I also accepted when I had challenging thinking that was leading to thought patterns that weren't serving me and therefore were the cause of, amongst other things, when I had mental health issues that created also, experiences that were very difficult and challenging. That I don't believe I need to share those specifically, but what I would encourage you to take on board is that if you start to recognise outcomes that are not favourable, there's a belief there, there's a story or narrative you're holding on to that needs to be let go of, and you're only going to notice that when you start to pay attention and go inwards, which takes introspection, self-awareness, and it doesn't all of a sudden sound as sexy as the black cat energy, and I get that, but if you're going to shift anything, thinking and then your energy, the energy you're putting out, because you'll start to see the correlation between what you're thinking, because I know I am, my karma is very swift with my thinking, because as I mentioned earlier, you're like a radio transmitter, and when you start to pick up on it, and I'm going to put this caveat, don't beat yourself up if you have kind of intrusive negative thoughts, because I've been there. Just let it go, and focus on your betterment, and it will take time, it will take stages, baby steps, 15 minutes a day, the practice, it will be okay. Give yourself compassion, give yourself empathy, because then when you see it for yourself and then you recognise it in others, you're like, oh, I can offer that because I understand, seek to understand before being understood, if that makes sense. Hopefully I said it that right way round. So, confidence, if you're struggling with confidence, borrow it. So what does that mean? Just look at the people that you admire, and I don't mean put them on a pedestal, because they know better than you, believe it or not. It might look like it, but they're not. But just to understand their qualities, like Eartha Kitt, Michelle Pfeiffer, or maybe somebody else. There was other cat women. There was, I've not seen the movie, it's Lenny Kravitz's daughter, I believe. See if that resonates for you and what qualities you could draw, so you start to embody it in how you stand. I sometimes stand with my hand on my hips like Wonder Woman or Superwoman, and that instantly gives me a sense of power, and I'm tapping into my solar plexus, my personal power, and I imagine myself with my uniform on my cape, and I'm that person that is fearless. She gets what she wants. She can step away from situations not serving her. She's willing to step in and protect others. Kind of that. Are you getting me? So I'm going to wrap up now. So basically, act your way to it until it becomes second nature, even at the times when you don't feel like it, because confidence is basically repetition, doing it often enough where you're conscious and then you don't think about it as much. And also there's a few words that came out that I hadn't quite covered, because I'm going to shoot off because I'm going to go to yoga practice this evening. So start to think about black cat energy from a grace point of view. I didn't forget to mention that earlier. Pleasure. How can you experience pleasure even in everyday tasks? And vitality and support. So you're supporting yourself in your experience. What things do you need? I've just realised there's a few questions that I had. Yeah. There are some questions that's going to be... I know, these are the questions. It is going to be in the body of the text when I send out this video, but how can... Oh, I can't believe it, my mind's gone blank. It's going to be in, I can't remember right now, but it is in the copy. I do know because I wrote it yesterday in preparation for doing the live, but I've been on longer than I intended, so it's escaped me. So I've gone through a few things, Black Cat energy, characteristics of, in a nutshell, it's self-mastery, but it's also in a way which is grace, pleasure, vitality. What else did I say? Supporting yourself in your experience, so that you experience femininity from the point of view that you're centering that, not the chaos around you, because you're not hearing yourself, you're disconnected. So when you're plugged in and you're back home, as some people call it, you're accessing the areas of you that know and always knows, and your energy, because you're not wasting it on things that don't matter, you can forget about it, let go of. You're not feeling guilty for it either. Unfortunately, I think we've got a society set up for us to have us in spaces, places with people that are not conducive to our mental health. So I seek to help support you and recognise that it is okay to make choices in your best interest, but also maybe to get support in that, because it's recognising what your story is, and then also to unpack and challenge what is coming up for you, because it might not necessarily be true. So if you're practicing Black Cat energy and you're more in a place where you're centered on who you are, where it is you want to go, what matters, who you are, and your gap, then when you start to learn, because it is about learning, and you're controlling and prioritising, and your focus is where it needs to be. I mentioned again Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Great book. There are many other books, but you'll only get to hear about them if you work with me, because my time, my research abilities, because I watch so much content, and I've got skills and my know-how, I believe what I offer is valuable. So I'm going to own my self-worth and know that I can command something for it, which is why, I do make it affordable to work with me at certain stages, partly wellness plans. So I'll mention again, it's only £11 if you want me to develop a wellness plan with you. With a consultation, £33.33. If you want to go it alone, there are resources available on my happiness page, and some of the other links. I encourage you, but it's down to you to source if you're determining your own solutions, because I don't necessarily know. I just put things up there. I've also got communities, a few communities, mainly Queen's Code, not club. If you want to improve relationships with men, or relations in general, relationships. I've also got the Daily Habits group community, and there's resources in there so you can dive in without actually needing to speak to me. So that's available to you too. And also the other page is richness of life, which is mindful based. It's all the stuff that I practice on a daily basis that really assists me, and there's support there, resources there that's accessible if you want to go down a mindful route, which I found supported me a lot in my mental health. So thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Please do send me a message. I really do appreciate it when ladies take their time to send me a message. Also do like, comment and share. It's free. It supports, it helps me with the algorithms. That said, I do lock down my channel. I lock down. But I will be posting this content to YouTube. That's something I've started recently. Well, as of last week or this week. So I'm going to upload this when I have time. And it's also available to have a consultation if you want to have a conversation, get to know me, and I can get to know you, and we can start working out what is needed. And it might be that you work with somebody else better aligned, and that is okay too. I work with women, overwhelmed, confused. It tends to be single mums, mothers that have, put themselves by the wayside, and it's really their time to rediscover themselves and maybe set up a business, maybe let go of some stuff getting in their way, becoming more authentic, vulnerable in their experience, and basically making good on their gifts, their purpose, bringing forth into the world what they want to create. So that's me gone. I'm signing off. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you on the next live next week.